Welcome and Dzień dobry, brothers and sisters. Today's khutbah at Masjid an-Nur here in Des Moines was a continuation of the past couple regarding the salat. And this time it was about the consequences of delaying the salat and eventually just leaving it or blowing it off altogether. And he he recited a few ayat from the Quran and several hadiths about what happens when someone keeps delaying the salat, or you know, if there's, if, for instance, men are obligated to pray at least some of it in the masjid, and they just don't do it. They prefer to stay at home, or if they don't pray at work, even when they get a break time, they could fit it in, but they choose not to, or he said that, a lot of people today are just too busy. They would rather stay with working or school or whatever they're doing and not fitting in the salat when they're supposed to. And praying on time is one of the essentials of being a good Muslim. And he said that if people start delaying the salat, some would even say, "Oh, I'll just do it all at night before I go to bed," and then they pray all five of them, one right after the other, and then go to bed and just call it good. But if you get into the habit of that, and then some would just start leaving off. Some of them, they will pray maybe two or three, like a Fajr and Isha, and leave off the rest, or whatever. They ignore purposefully and not make them up. I mean, it's fine if you have to delay it for a certain reason. For instance, if you are not in a position where you can pray, or like, for instance, you're in a doctor's office or hospital having a treatment or exam done, and you want to get that done, then you pray afterwards. You know, I mean, you can't pray if you're under anesthesia, obviously, but he didn't mention this, but I threw it in as an example. But if you if you make it up, you try not to delay it. And I've done this too. I've delayed them for certain reasons, and then I just make them up. But I always try to make it up. Or if I oversleep my alarm in the morning, and I don't hear it in time for Fajr, so then after sunrise, whatever, I do make it up, so I don't skip it. But if people start to skip the salat, not praying on time, then gradually over time they blow off more and more until they end up just not praying at all, and just totally getting out of the habit, and not bothering with it. And it is that point when you intentionally leave the salat, you don't do it, then everything else that you do as a Muslim is worthless, because one of the main things on the Day of Judgment that Allah will ask you about is your prayer, is a salat, whether or not you've done it. And of course, on that day you can't lie. There's no getting out of that. And several hadiths were about if someone leaves a salat altogether, he has basically left Islam, because that is after saying the Shahada, you have to learn the salat. You have to, as it is said so many times in the Quran and in several hadiths, establish the prayer, meaning you pray, you get in the habit of praying all the time when you're supposed to, and doing it for the worship of Allah, for ibadah. And if you get out of that, you are basically not a Muslim anymore. And he said that there are a lot of scholars, both past and present, who have affirmed this, that if you leave the salat, you don't do it anymore, you don't care about it, then you have stepped out of Islam. You're not a Muslim anymore. You are a disbeliever. And Allah punishes the disbelievers who leave the salat or keep intentionally delaying it, and they get their first punishment in the grave. You know, their time in the grave will not be a pleasant one. And then on the day of judgment, if they had not repented of their sins, then they will go to Jahannam. They will spend eternity in the hellfire. And so the important thing is to do the salat whenever you are supposed to, wherever you can, except in those places where it is forbidden to do salat. Unless you have absolutely no choice, then you do it there. You know, you can. I watched a video one time where I saw two women praying in a little side nook in a mall, and others would pray at work. You know, I prayed at when I was taking classes at a local college, you know, DMAC, Des Moines Area Community College. I prayed there. You know, I took my compass and I rolled a rug up and put it in my backpack. And then when I did my first clinical at a nursing home, you know, I prayed there. So during the break, I had a chance to pray, and then after the shift is over, because this is an evening shift, then I prayed again, and then I cabbed it home. But you know, you can, and I've prayed in the bus. So that is something that you have to do. Unless you are absolutely too sick or you are under anesthesia, then you pray. If you cannot stand, then you pray sitting. If you cannot sit, then you pray lying down. You know, you can pray in a hospital bed. I've never had to do that, but you know, if necessary, I would do it. So that is the importance of the salat, and you know, coming. It goes along with coming early to the masjid, so you're praying on time. If you're, you know, if you want to, or you're obligated to pray in the masjid, and so that gives you greater rewards when you do it on time, and you do it with the correct intention of worshiping your Lord, because after all, we will go back to Him on the day of judgment, and we will answer for what we did and what we did not do. So also at the end, after the salat, the Imam gave an update on our fundraiser, and we had a pretty good result. Alhamdulillah, we got 700 as of last count, and more may come in as people were reminded of it, and they didn't get a chance to come to the dinner, or they just weren't not able to at that time, but they're able to now, so there might be more coming in. But I am grateful to Allah that we had this success, and it will go towards maintaining the masjid, and you know, improving the environment in there for us to worship in and to gather and do whatever activities we do. So I just wanted to add that. And again, as usual, if I say anything bad, it's wrong. It's totally my bad. I can't blame Mila. And everything that I say is good. It comes from Allah, because Allah is the source of all good. So thanks for watching. Assalamu alaikum, do widzenia, and miao Mila.